Welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Mayfield. And in this video, we're just going to be going over that super simple homework that we had from last night. And again, when you are given some, you want to always label items that you know are factually true. So if you notice, I went ahead and labeled each of those steps on that number line. So if you notice too, you were only given 15, 20, 25, but there's marks in between. Each dash was one step. So I went ahead and just made it simple for myself. I labeled each of those dash marks. So we also know that we can label each of these 5 critical numbers, and so we know that this is going to be our min. This is going to be Q1 or quartile 1, Q2, Q3, and the max. Again, the other labels that go along with it, again, these are interchangeable at any time, so make sure that you do know both of them. So our min is the lower extreme, the lower quartile is Q1, the median of the entire set is Q2, the upper quartile is Q3, and the upper extreme is your max. Now that we have that all labeled, makes it super simple for ourselves. So let's go through these questions very simply. Alright, so it says, what is the median? Well, that's going to be about 20. What is the lower quartile? Meaning Q1, that's 18. The upper quartile, meaning Q3, is 22. The minimum value, meaning the smallest value of the lower extreme, is 17. And the largest value, or the max, or the upper extreme, is 24. Moving on. The second half, it says, what is the interquartile range? And what's that again? Well, that's that IQR. It's that Q3 minus that Q1. So that's going to be our far right of our box. So that's that upper quartile minus the far left of the box. So that's that, that real center part right there. So we're just going to do those values, Q3 minus Q1. And so we can substitute in those values that we had. So we had 22 minus 18 equals 4. So 4 is going to be that interquartile range. And that is different from the range, so please do remember that. Again, the range is going to be that largest value minus the smallest value. Again, you can substitute in those numbers. So you say, all right, the max 24, the smallest number is 17, and so our range is 7. Again, you should usually have a range that is larger than your interquartile range. And that kind of makes sense because the spread of your data should be further out than only 50% of your data. So now, speaking of percentages, good transition. It says what percentage of data is below, meaning it's left of the upper quartile. And so do remember though, each section is 25%. And what does that mean? I'm just saying this, that between each of these critical numbers, so you can have this is 25%, this is 25%, this is 25%, and you guessed it, that's 25%. So it might be evenly spaced, it might be stretched out super far, it might be super small, it's always 25%. And so a way you can think about that is it's kind of like a rubber band. When you stretch that rubber band out, which sadly I don't think I have one around here, but if you were to stretch that rubber band out, you know that, hey, it will go back and it's always going to be that 25%. So we'll look for that Q3. So what's below that? So how many sections is that? Well, you could see, all right, Q3, well, you know that's 3 sections, so it's going to be 75%. What percentage is located between Q1, the lower quartile, and Q2? Well, that's just one section right here, so that's going to be 25%. And then it has what percentage of the data is above the median. So, you know, the median is right in the middle, so that is going to be about 50%. And make sure you can use these ideas for yourself to study for the quiz on Friday. And as always, super slay and that subscribe button.